Let me just. Okay. Uh, can I confirm? Can everybody hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, thank you very much. So this is the third class for this particular training, and I believe we've been practicing what we are learning. So today we are going to continue from where we stopped last week. On Friday. On Friday, I took us through like the introduction to XML, a bit of the history of where WWW that's World Wide Web, history of HTML. I introduced us also to the syntax, that's the structure of HTML. And on Sunday, Latif took us through additional HTML formatting structure, like the H1 to headers, H1 to H6 that we have, the paragraph, the anchor, that's the links, it goes through links, through break line formatting, some video, HTML formatting, right? I don't know if we've practiced, but today I believe we've actually been practicing it, and we are getting some angles of HTML. So today we're actually going to continue from where we stop. We might do a little bit of like go back a bit to some things, but it will be more of like we're actually going to be trying to move forward and continue from where we stop. So I'm going to be sharing my screen now, and I will actually like if we can practice along because this is actually an hands-on training. There's no slide for today. It's just going to be an hands-on training. Like I'm going to share my screen, practice some things, and I'll type some things, and I will want us to also practice on our end, to also type this on our end and practice it, and be sure we're actually getting a hold of it. If you can remember from our last section, from the first section, I took us through like the syntax of HTML, the format. So today we are actually going to do a little recap of of the headers that we have, different headers. Then I'm going to explain what nested tags is. We've actually done quite some nested tags as well, just to have a proper understanding of it, explain that. Then I'm going to be explaining what HTML attribute is, and from there we continue. We will continue to as much as we can for cover today. I don't know if we'll be able to cover up to tables today. If you are not able to do that, then on next week Friday we will be next week Saturday. Sorry, we'll do tables. So, but if you remember from the last class and the first one, we explained that HTML when you actually building a new HTML file, it starts with the doc type, right? And one thing, HTML is actually not case sensitive. It's not case sensitive like some programming language. If I type HTML on this and if I have typed it in lower case, it's actually the same thing. It's not case sensitive. So I think we should note that. So I remember we mentioned that the first tag, you type in the doc type. This doc type is actually the one for HTML5. And then the main HTML syntax actually starts from HTML. Then within HTML, we have the head, and then we have the body. So it's a standard practice in programming that you index your code. So in this case now, I have HTML. I have HTML as first tag. It's within this HTML that head comes in. So it's a standard practice that since head is like within the HTML, you actually indent it one, give it one tab index. I'm using tab. to just index it back. So both head and body, they're actually the same level. They are both kind of HTML. So that's why they are on the same indentation. So the indentation itself doesn't affect the way your code runs. It's not going to affect if your code is going to run or not, but it's just a standard practice that we make sure that your code is readable. So there's something your code has to be readable. Your code is when you're writing building any code in programming, it's not just for the system to run it. It's also for human being. You're writing code for both the computer to run and for human being that want to work on it later in the future to be able to actually understand what exactly you are writing. So it's easy for someone to be able to grasp where exactly it's going to if your code is properly formatted. You have your format proper indentation. So I will encourage us to look at to be sure that we actually indent our code properly. And then within the edge, we refer your price to have a title. So the title for today, let's call it let's just call it class 3. Okay. Design class 3. So what we'll be doing, we are going to be doing it in body. So uh let me see if I can see it on the call. I would like if anybody can actually remind us, like can actually give us like a refresher of the different type of headers that we have, the header tags that we have in HTML. Can anybody remember? Can you give us a quick recap of the ones?
So are you referring to the header with like H1,
Yes,
H2,
yes,
H3, so
yes,
on? Okay.
yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Thanks, Femi. Would have love. I don't know if Victor was here last week. I actually didn't. I wasn't in the call for most of the time on last week Sunday, so I don't know those that are on the call.
Yeah, I was in class last
Okay,
Sunday. Yeah.
okay, okay. So Femi already mentioned it. We have the H1, H up to H6. Oh, sorry, that was a typo. And if you remember, I actually mentioned that with some of the tags that have on that was on Saturday, the tags that have some tags appeared which have the closing tag and the a opening tag, sorry, and a closing tag. I should have some this thing. I hope you can see my screen better. Let me zoom. Okay, a opening tag and a closing tag. So for this, so within the opening tag and closing tag, that's actually where the content is located. So, for example, if I want to say this is a and H1, so I can put this. So, let me save this class and let me save this and we can. I'm using Notepad++ today, but we can actually use the normal Notepad we've been using. I I just feel like using this. There is no. So for the normal Notepad, what we do is actually we change this to all, and then do dot dot html. I can't really see dot. I can't really do dot. Okay, hypertext markup language. Yes, so this is the class 3 that we're working on. This is what we're working on. I know we've already covered this earlier. I just want us to remember how exactly the formats are. If the formats are. So today I want to just bring to our I want to bring to our, this particular thing to our notice, this one we call nested HTML tag. So I noticed we probably have seen I've seen some cases where we did something like putting an HTML tag within an HTML tag, which is it's even a similar thing that is happening here. I have a body, and within body I'm putting an H1. So there is actually a rule to it, which is why I'm bringing it out. The rule is if you have an HTML tag within another HTML tag, this particular the one within has to be closed before the one outside. So for example, let me use let me use paragraph. I want to copy some text into the HTML paragraph. So for example, if you have this is a paragraph, right? So this is a paragraph, but within this, I might want to probably do some modification. Okay, so I want to make introduction of CSS. Okay, so I want to make sure this CSS is bold. I think last week we saw like we can make it to be bold. So now I have a paragraph, and within this paragraph, I'm adding another HTML tag to make sure that this particular guy is bold. So if I open this new one that I'm opening within another HTML tag, I have to close it, which is this one. This one I'm opening within, I have to close it before closing the one that is outside. I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't have one that I don't have a closing, and I can't come back here and come and close it outside this. This is illegal. This is not correct. This will probably make your code not to work. Although HTML is not it's not really a strong type programming language, so you might not see error message everywhere when you do some mistakes. But this is not correct, and it might make sure might end up discovering that your web page is not showing properly. Something is wrong somewhere. It's because when you open it, when you open an HTML tag within any other HTML tag, you have to close it before closing the one outside. So it has to be closed here before you close the one that is outside it. I think we need to. I hope we get that. So we have to close it. So the last week I was looking through the class note, and I saw that we cover some HTML formatting. So some HTML tags like strong. Yeah, so we've covered some HTML formatting like we have the strong. I'm just typing them out here. Let me you know emphasis emphasis. Then we have bold, italic, underline. We have the underline. There are actually a lot. I won't be able to cover everything. I won't be able to. We have deletes. I won't be able to cover everything, but let me just cover. We have some of them. We have superscript, subscript. I hope I got the exact name of this. Yes, superscript, subscript. Which one should I put it and leak? Okay, so I think this is okay for now. So we actually need to actually do further reading after the class also to be able to grasp every single thing. We won't be able to cover every single thing that has to do with this, but today we're actually covering this one. I'm going to just go through these ones that we have here, which is the HTML, yes, the HTML formatting that we have here. So I'm trying to, so let's just put an header. So let me see, let's say H3 formatting. When you open and open it, one of the mistakes we always do is forgetting to close it, that we forget to close it, or at times we forget that closing tag starts with this slash. It starts with slash. This is not correct. It's like having two opening tags and your code will not probably work. So make sure that you have a closing tag to it. So today we are covering these formatting ones right now. So we have strong. Strong basically is just important text. Actually, what it means is important text. It's just to highlight an important text in your HTML page. And the format for this is strong. The HTML tag, sorry, the HTML tag for it is strong. Uh, this is strong. Oh, see, I also did a mistake. I remember to put this. So this, even though the display looks exactly like when you use this, it actually makes it to be bolder to make it more obvious. But what strong actually means in HTML is in like this is an important test. And then we have, so I'm going to run. Okay, so let me just run this. Let me save it and let's see what it looks like. Sorry. After each of these, I'm going to put a break line. I'm going to put a break points. This is actually break line. I know we covered this last week. I mentioned it also last week. So if I want the remaining text, it's like entering it's like pressing the enter keyword on your keyboard. Oh. It's like pressing the enter enter key on your keyboard. You make sure everything comes on the new line. So in HTML, there's something in HTML. HTML actually recognizes only one space. No matter the number of space you put in at the back of something, it only recognizes only one. So everything, it doesn't recognize the Aventa new keyboard except a keyboard like is a that I can type it on a new line, except you are using the HTML tag called PRE. That one displays exactly the way you format it. But that one, you actually just recognize any space you put as just one particular space. Even if it's a new line, it just recognizes as just one space. But the first one, so that's just by the way. But the first one I mentioned was the important text. So important. So that one it displayed the message as if is in bold. And then let's to the next one is emphasis. Emphasis is en. So let me I'm going to be putting each of those words in as the contents, each of those description as the contents. Sure, am I too fast? Are you able to follow up? Are you able to catch up with me? Because I know I can be a bit fast. Should I wait for us to type the same thing I'm typing?
Yeah. So I think you are a little bit fast. So
Fast. I guess so. Okay, so let me go to the code. Let me just open the code. It's so I don't what we need to cover is the what we need to type more is the make sure we type the strong and we are able to actually see how it display and the emphasis usually display because I'm also going to include small. Okay, okay, so let me mention the next one. The next one is bold. Bold is similar to strong in the way they display, in the way they actually display, but you will see bold more in different things you are doing. Basically, bold is some syntax like bold, italic, underline. They are like in every everything that has to do with XML, even if you're not writing XML, you will see this often. In fact, I know when you're using your Microsoft Word, we always see like bold italic underline there. So at the background, most of those programs, what they use is actually this B tag, because most programs also run on XML, which is just like XML is derived from XML. XML is a bigger language, and HTML is derived from it. So at times you see syntax across different languages that are XML based. So see, both is actually going to display exactly the same way. Strong is display, important text is display.
So, excuse me, sir.
Yes. Yes.
So I noticed that BR.
Yes.
So the
Okay.
open and close you use that.
Yes. So BR is a single. BR actually means break line. It's to enter a new line at the end of. Oh, I have some charts. Okay, it's to enter a new line at the end of a particular line. So I want it to enter to make sure that it types the next line on a new line. So there is some characteristics of some HTML tags, some text formatting tags like the ones we have been working on. Some of them, like the headers, are they call it block, like they are blocks. Basically, I can't a block sorry, in the sense that they stay on a new line. So if I put in H1 anywhere, the next thing behind is going to call in the another line. So it's going to take a new line, and the next one is going to call on another line. If I put the paragraph, the same thing for paragraph, the same thing for the headers and paragraph. They take a new line and they take a whole new line, and everything comes on the new line. But for some tags like bold, italic, and something, these ones, they are in line, they are not block. So they stay on the line they currently are. So it's not giving me so when I type this, everything is going to stay on the same line. Let's see what I'm saying. If I remove this HR, so I've saved it, and let's refresh this page. Everything is going to stay on just one line. It's not coming on a separate line. So, the reason why I'm putting the BR at the back is to make sure that it gives you a new line, a break line, and so so the next line comes in a new line. The next line comes in a new line. So, and this one, the reason why it doesn't have a opening tag is actually a single tag element. And you notice that his own slash is actually coming at the back, not at the front, like a closing tag. His own is probably a bit different. This is the way it is because it's just a break line. It doesn't have a content. So we have two of them that are actually popular that you use a lot. It's this break line used a lot, and then we have the horizontal rule. So horizontal rule is just write down a new horizontal line on the line. So on the where you are. So let me put it here. Let me put it after this formatting, after the header. So it looks much better. So I'm saving this now, let's refresh. So horizontal rule is just this line. Okay, add a new line straight away here. So that's the way they behave. That's why it's written this way. So we need to understand. So this particular one is a pair tag that have a close opening and closing tag. And then apart from that, we have tags that is just a single tag. Okay, I hope that's clear. Look for me, is it possible to get the video out of Zoom, like after the recording? Can we download it? Ask me if you can be able to get the video.
Yes, I think after recording it, you will see a lot of option to choose from that file.
Okay, I will be able to see that file.
Yes, you will see it.
Okay. So we have the recording for today, but I also want us to practice along. So I want us to practice along so you can stop and ask question anywhere you are not clear. And I believe when you ask questions, others are also learning from the questions. So the next, so to the next formatting that we are talking about is italic. So basically, we want to make sure that we make sure we can want to within our HTML page, within our website, we might want to make sure that that a text or a format is actually in italic. So the format is I. The format is I. It's also opening and closing. All the text formatting is actually going to be a paired tag, both having the opening and closing because it's within the content that you actually have the the content itself. It's within those two tags that you have the content. So italics. So let's refresh also and see what it looks like. Okay. Let me add the new break line. So this italics is also display similar to emphasis, to emphasize text. But a lot of time you actually see, so you can use any of the two EN or I as italics in HTML and it works fine. Although most of the time you end up using the I, most of the time, but there are times that you see emphasize being used. And then we have this underline. There are times you might want to underline a text, probably is a topic, and then you want to underline it. So it's only wait. How do you underline it? See you or I'm not 100% sure if it's you or or you type the underlining for. So let me just check. But- Okay, yes, it's you. So it's just you. Um, underline is you. So like okay, so it's going to if you notice what happened here, you actually put an underline on that particular text. Colorful along. So underline is you, italics I, bold B, emphasize EM, first two letter. Important things is strong. It's actually in full word, strong in full. It's not an abbreviation like others. So we have one we call delete. Delete is similar to underline, but not full similar. So underline actually underline the text, but delete is actually going to strike out the text. So delete is DEL, or just this DEL. So I don't know if you can see my screen very well. Actually strike out the text, right? And then we have the superscript and we have the subscript. So superscript is first three letter also. So superscript is basically like you're writing in mathematics, like 2 raised to power something. So you put it like raised to power. That's one. It's raised. It raised it up a bit. Although something is wrong. Oh, sorry, I didn't put the closing tag. I didn't type it properly. So you raised it up above the others. So normally you notice that these where the lines are, these where others are stable. It's raised up. So it could be something like this. Let me put a clearer example. Let me say 2 square. So for example, you want to type 2 square in HTML. So 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 the superscript makes raise it up to the to the to the upper case, right? So that's how you do that superscript. So the two is what the second two is. Maybe I should have changed this to 10 so it doesn't confuse us. So the second, let me rephrase that. So let me use 10 square. So the second one that I want to raise up, the one to the power, that's what's going to be within the superscript content. So also we have subscripts. The same way you have superscript, you have subscripts. Subscript is actually sub, just in a similar format with superscripts. For example, let me say log to base 2 of 10 or something. Subscript actually sits below it's you know what we know what subscript is, just like an opposite of superscript. Right, is raised to power, and subscript is just like to the base. For example, here I wrote log to base 2 of 10. Let me format all that. Let me format the text so it looks similar to what we have for the other ones. Let me just format. I'm trying to put a break line. So log to base 2 of 10. And the last one I'm going to be covering under this formatting is small. Small is basically trying to be like, okay, make this particular text to be small, to be smaller than others. So, and the format is just the same format. It's small in full. Actually type this is small in full, just like strong. That we type the full word for strong. Small is also going to be typing the full word. Because there's not so much formatting here, I might not notice this very clearly, but it's actually a bit smaller than the rest. Let me put something like. So I just try to put word around it so that we can actually see it compared to others. So if we compare it to the whole paragraph, we notice that it's a bit smaller than the rest. Do we get that? I hope we get that. So I want to move to a bit of styling. So I want us to cover a bit of style so that we can make our page a bit nicer, to look much better and nicer than what we currently have. So so let me just put a new line here. H3, so you're going to start. So we're going to start. I just want us to okay, must start. So and I know this we know we all know that the websites we always are go for, they are not just simple text like this. There are at times there are colors, there are some things that make them they look nicer than this. So one of the things that is actually behind it is actually the way it's styled, the way it's formatted. So there are some styling that we can do within HTML. Although a lot more styling will be done in CSS when we get to CSS, that's cascading style sheet. But we can also cover some style in in HTML. Yeah, there are some particular style that you can do in HTML. And when in our tag, so okay. So style is basically enhancing what we have. So we've have some text and some things. So I might want to decide to make sure that a particular text is the color is different. So let me copy this guy. So I might want to make sure that, oh, this color, I don't want the black color that is actually showing for everything. I want this one to show as red. Let me, this is too long. It's too long. I might decide that I want this particular, I want to add a paragraph, but this paragraph this time around, I want it to be a red color paragraph. Is that fine? So if you want to do that, there is a simple format for the style, and it's something like this. Let me just, this is not the so the tag name just means, in this case, the tag name is paragraph is P. Just trying to write the format. So and then we have style, and style equals, oh sorry, it's equals, not column, equals property name column, the value we are attaching to it. And then you can put a semicolon if you have more than one, and then you can have your closing tag. I want us to write, even if you don't have a system here that you are practicing, I would like that you probably write this down so you can remember. So the tag name, which is the paragraph for this case, it might not be paragraph in some cases, it might be any other thing. It might be small, it might be a lot, it might be something else, it might even be H3. Then style is the what is that's the we call it attributes. Is an HTML attribute style, and the value of the style is going to be in this format. The property slash value. I will have to delete this because it's not a valid thing, so I will have to delete this later on, but let me still leave it there a bit. Don't let me. Okay. So let me just push this down. I hope we get this. Tag name. Then we have within the tag, within the opening tag, we have this attribute. There's something called HTML attributes. HTML attributes. So HTML attribute is just like giving more definition, more description to a particular HTML. So in this to a particular HTML tag. So and the attribute comes in the opening tag. If you have an HTML attribute, it's going to come in the opening tag, and it will have a value. It's most times we have a value. So in this case, I have style as being an HTML tag. The other HTML attribute, sorry, as it being an HTML attribute. The other HTML attributes, I want to have a width, a height. There are others, and as we go on, there will be some other ones that we introduce into our discussion. But for for this particular case, where I want us to handle style. Style is going to be coming as an attribute. So let me show you. It's called style equals, so all the value is going to be in a quote. So what I want us to do is I want us to make the text to be red. I want us to make the text color to be red. So the what most programming the English are actually American English, not British English like what you're used to. So the color is going to be the American spelling of color, not there's no U. So I would like us to note that most of the HTML tags are American English, not British. So the U, no U is going to be here. So for example, this is actually going to make my text be a red. This is a red text. So what I've specified here is, okay, this is an HTML, this is a paragraph, right? But make the color of this text to be red. So let's save this and refresh. Right. So let me just go back to this. Let me wait a little bit for those that are trying to type this. Let me wait a bit. Oh, I did something wrong here. This shouldn't have been in my code, but it's still HTML is not strongly typed. That's why this code actually run. because this is actually wrong. This I shouldn't have left this one here. So I use something here called comment. I will later on address this, but for now, just ignore it. Just ignore what I put in front. But what basically does is saying that the code should not run this particular part. But I will explain comment later on. I don't want to delete this line. That's why I did this. I hope we get this one. So the HTML tag, then we have the attribute of style, and then we define color. Then this is going to be column within this tag, within this description. I don't know if the property column, the value. So I have color red. So and I can go back to let me go back to the browser and shoot and let's so I can stay there with it. So which is why it's displaying as a red text, no longer black. So that one is for the text color. There are actually a lot of style property. So we have something like background color. Let me just type some of them out. Background color. I'm going to be using American English type. Background color. We have fonts. So now font could be the font family, and it could be font size. How you want it to be big, font size. We have which we have there are a lot, but we can even align our tests. Okay. We can align our tests to we can align our tests. We can what test can we do? We can do a lot actually, but let me stop. Let me just straight only these ones for today. So we have text color equals red. Then I want to do one more, which is I'm going to another paragraph. Let me just paragraph is not the only one we can actually use. So let me do an H6 tag. I just want to use something so that it won't look like the only thing is it's the only paragraph that you can put. So H6. So I want like the other paragraph that you can just that you can style, but you can actually style different things. So style. So in this case, I want us to do the background color this time around. Background color. So background color, the format for that one is background hyphen color. So and then the value, let's use blue for this one. So so basically what this does is it had background color to that particular HTML tag. So it adds a background color to this. All right. So also we can do font family. I don't know a lot of font family of fonts, but let me just use. Hmm. So the font we've been using is just the default font. I don't know what font this actually is, but I can want to change it. I don't want it to display like this. I want it to display in a different way in the sum. I want to format the font. So you can use font family for that. I'm going to be using carrier. I think I know that one. So let me just use this full content. I want us to have a lot of content for this. So and then style because so now the value here is font family hyphen family. I hope I got it right. So font are we noting this? So the font no, there's no space between this and hyphen that replace the font. Background color, instead of background color, we have background hyphen color, font hyphen family. Then we have the font family name. Uh there is area, right? There's area, there is maybe I should change to okay. I think this one is also correct. Let's check what it looks like. Yes, so we can see the font here is not different compared to what we have before, right? So that's font family. Then we have font size. For font size, I can either use percentage to be like it should be a particular percentage bigger than the rest, or I can use most time. Okay, font size. I think it's most time percentage. So, for example, this is still the same paragraph. So, paragraph. I think this is actually too long. Let me just reduce this. Uh, so I want this font size to be bigger than the default paragraph tag. So I want it to be maybe like 150% bigger. So I'm saying font hyphen size. You know, see how the space turns to hyphen was to 150, no, not 100, 150%. So let's refresh that and see what it looks like. So now this we can obviously see that this is bigger than default paragraph like this one. This is the normal paragraph that I didn't increase the size. This is now 150% bigger. We can reduce it to even be smaller or something. Um, then we have text align. I can want so you notice if you go to the text, you notice all our text are actually starting from the end here. But I want it to actually be in the center. So how do I go about that? I use text align. I'm going to use text align. So the same thing. Let me p. Let me wait a bit first. So this one is test align. So I use center. So it could be center, it could be left, it could be right. If I want to go to be in the left, I want to be in the right. I think default is left. The right, this is left. So default is left. So I could actually even move to right, but this time around, let's just try center. Are we good? So let's refresh this page. So can we see what has happened? The text no longer at the end yet. This one is showing at the center of our page. I believe by now we'll be figuring out how we can actually bring together some of these different things to make sure our page nice and looks nice basically. So I'm just going to wait on this page a bit before moving on to the style, before moving on to the next one, the next thing. Okay, can we continue? So the next one I want us to look at is comments. Like comment is not really a display. Comment is basically um a a popular thing that is been done in programming language, in programming generally. I think every programming that I know of have a way that you can add comments to them. Comment is a way of documenting your code in some ways. So it's a way of documenting your code to be like for anybody that comes pick up your code and is want to read it in the future, you can actually see some documents within the code. But when you're documenting your code, it's not part of the code. It's not part of the code. It's only supposed to be run. It's only supposed to be executed. So you don't want the browser to display your comment because you've commented it out. So comment is basically just a way of documenting your code. That's just what it is actually. Once the browser or the compiler sees that, it keeps it because it knows it shouldn't interact with that. So you just keep it and it's just meant for only a human being that picks up the code later in the future. So for example, what I was trying to do here is just to add a comment to this one to make sure instead of this is probably for human being to read to this tag name, this is the format it's supposed to be, but this is not meant for the browser. So I just add a comment and the browser is not going to be displaying, it's not going to be even interacting with this at all. So the format for comments is in HTML. The format for comments in HTML is great less than exclamation hyphen hyphen. That's the beginning of it. Then you have all your comments, and then you close it with double hyphen greater than. So within this is where all the comments is going to be. So in this case, this is the main comment, but this is the format. So this is the beginning, this is the end. So we can actually come here to this code we've written earlier and add some comment to it. Please, don't give me a second. So for example, this one, so we can add a comment to this line. So in case when someone picks it up, he knows what exactly we are trying to do. Let's close it. So so you can even though you had this when you run this, it's not going to display. This is not going to have any effect on the way the code is displayed on the way the website is displayed because it's just a comment for anybody that picks up this code to see it later in the future. All right. So the next thing I want us to work on today before we call it a day that I want us to create is links. Links. So links now, like the hyperlink. So I know we've actually done something on it because I noticed it last week. I just want to go a bit further in that links before I just want to go a bit in depth in links. Links. So links basically hypertext is just basically a way of connecting to other things within our code, right? It could be a self-reference between our code that I want between our page, sorry. Between this page, I want us to be able to move from this page to this page. I want to be able to actually reference a particular part of the page within the page, right? So the format is basically it's not so difficult. It's a then you have an HTML attribute of href. So we need to remember the href. Then we have the URL, and then it's a close is a peer tag, so it has an opening closing, and here is where you have the link tests. So what you should display for that link. So is the tag for it, which is for link for anchor link is going to be anchor link is going to be A. Yes, and then you have href, yeah, then the URL, and the URL can actually be pointing to something that's going to actually be pointed to, let me even say google.com, and then you have the display text, what you actually show on your browser. Because what you are showing in your browser might not, I might just want to show Google, but the URL should be pointing to google.com. So for example, I want to have an href for to go to LaTeX portal. So let me say I have like a href. I want to have a link to point to LaTeX portal. So let me just let me close this. I guess LaTeX portal is still HTTP. I don't know if it's HTTPS or HTTP. Let me just put HTTP. I think it should be HTTPS. Column www.lautech.edu.ng, and then the text that I want to display for the user to be able to click to take them to this page might just be Lautech portal. So let me just delete. Okay, let me comment out this first one. So if you click on this, it should take us to, so it just take us to the page. So that's what is actually called a link. So it's, so now I've clicked on that. It just move me from the page I was before and to the next page I've placed there. So in this case, I'm actually referencing an external page. So I'm referencing an external page. So the URL here is a full URL of another page. But at the same time, the URL could be a relative page. So within my website, within when I'm developing my website, I can have other pages. So this is one page, right? It's class 3.html. It's one page here. It's one page in this particular that I've created. I can have another page that I want it to reference to. So it's actually so the URL could be either be an absolute URL. For example, this one where I have the HTML, a complete new website getting to, or a relative URL or a relative URL. For us to be able to practice that, let's create a new HTML document. I know you might not be able to. Okay, let me just. I did put doc type, so you're supposed to start with the doc type. So I'm saving it in the same location I saved the first file, the first HTML page. So I'm saving my own on desktop. You might be saving it somewhere else. For let me just, so I'm saving it and I'm naming it page. So I'm putting on knifing page. Let me just call it second page. So and if don't forget, the extension should be HTML. I know not many people have been able to type all this, but you can actually practice with the file with the page you created last week, and you can practice after this. I want us to. I'm trying to round up the class, so I might be a bit faster. So I want to just finish the link, and then we can call it a day. So for the second type, which I said, we can have like an absolute, which is actually pointing outside of the complete website. You have the full URL, HTTPS or ECP, depending on the security on the website. Slash, then you have www dot something something. Or I can actually have another page within my page that is referenced to. So which is why I created the second page. I'm going to example. So this one is the text actually going to be displayed to people for them to be able to click on, and then my file is located in the same folder. So the same folder but named second. I think I named second page. No, I don't need to put the slash. Dot. So now I have to put the extension dot HTML. So this is the name of the new file I created. Both of these files are in the same folder. They are in the same folder, which is why they are like this. Assuming it's outside, I want to go there. No. So they're in the same folder, which is why it's like this. Can you notice? The format is still the same thing. A, those anchor tests. Then the href, that's the reference. That's where you have the URL. We shouldn't forget the href. And then we have the text that should be. All right, let me, so I can go and show us what the test is. So this is second test. This is second one, right? Then so the test here is showing is showing the word we put there, and then so if I click on this, it's going to go to the second page. Do you notice that? This is the page we have before previously. So clicking on this now, it takes us to the second page. I hope you understand what happened there. The first one actually takes us out of the page because that's a relative page. It takes us to a completely different a completely different website, a completely different website. But this one takes us to the page. So I'm going to be adding the break line here. So the display on on a different line. So there is some other things I want us to on this test, which is the next thing I want to show you is target. So we notice that when we click on this test or anyone, it's just override. It's still is within the same tab. It's within the same tab. You override my previous page. Just move to this next page. Especially this one that we are even going to an external website. It just took you out of my own website completely, and just override that. You have to use web browser link to go back to my page, which might be a bit confusing. So at times you might want, instead of it opening on the same tab, I might want to actually go and open in a different tab. So there is an attribute called target. So let me use this word Lautech on. There's an attribute called target. I think it's underscore. Okay, no, it's just target. So which could have multiple some values. So the default value is actually safe. So the default values are start with underscore. The default value is safe. That's what there by default. When you don't put anything, what actually happens is it open within itself. But there is like the blank. We open it in a new tab. I think there is parent and top. I've actually not used both of these before, but what it does is parent opens it. I think parent is going to open a new window, right? It's a new window. But we actually try them out. I'm not 100% sure of what exactly they do. So this blank is what you use most of the time if you don't want to open if you want to open it a new tab. So we are not doing safe because that is default. So there's no need for us to add target if you actually want it to open within the same page. That's the behavior. That's the current behavior it does. Uh, Parents. Not 100% sure of what this parent and top does, but let's just try it out. So this should be new window. Top should be new window.
I know.
I'm not very sure of this parent if it actually applies there. Let's, but let's. There's no harm in trying. So the new tab, the blank. This is the blank, right? Underscore blank, type underscore blank. It's actually open instead of it opening it in this current browser now. It's going to open that link in the new browser. Let's close it and try again. This is the first one. So it opens in a new browser. The parents, I'm not very sure what that does. It opens in the same one. So I think probably this is supposed to be for X frame. I don't think it's applicable here. Uh, I think it's probably for iframe because it's not it opens in parent. I'm not sure of how that works. Also opens in the same. Sorry. So for this, so let's just stick with the blank. So that's okay. So blank. So if you want to open a new tab, use target underscore target equals to underscore blank. Okay, so let's move on to let's do some other HTML thing, which is some other anchor tags, anchor related tags. So we actually notice if you will notice that all our links actually comes with an underscore. That's default behavior of that's default display for HTML, but you can actually remove it. You can remove it by adding a style. For that style, a style equals for that one is actually called text decoration. Text hyphen decoration. I can say it's column null. So instead of default underscore that is there, you can put it as null. Are you with me? So things we've actually been talking about with XML, most of the things can be applied to other tags. So we've talked about like the style is not specific to parent. You can apply it to anchor tags, you can apply it to different things. So we've talked about nested tags. You can even have nested tag within a link within anchor link. So we are going to do that one next. Let's look at the result of this text decoration that we do. Text decoration equals null. That should remove the underscore. So do you notice that for this first one now we don't have underscore. We don't have like what do they call it now? It's not underlined any longer. So remove the text decoration. So also as apart from just text decoration, you can actually have nested HTML within an H tag. So I can have an image, but I don't have an image yet today, so I'm not adding an image. But we can have. So let me say for this one, I want Blautext to be in bold, right? And then I want that to be small. You can have your HTML nested tags within it. Oh, I didn't wait for people to see what I did. So let me tap. So I can make sure one is bold. I can apply one to be small. Just some formatting basically. Or maybe instead of making it small, maybe I should make it italic. Within the HTML tag. So I can have some things within this HTML tag. So I can even add an image there. I can do some things. So which is what happens here. So now my text is displaying like this. The cloud text is formatted to be bold. The second one is formatted to be an italic. So the last one I will be talking about, the last anchor tag I will be talking about before we call it to an end is I don't know what name do you call this? It's more like instead of referencing, I will not use that we've actually been referencing other pages within this. We've been referencing other pages in our so like the href is pointing to another page. But what if I wanted to point to the same place within this particular page? So we notice that our is very long and then we have some text beginning. So if I want to click on this and I want it to go back to the top, what can I do? So there's something actually called ID and class in HTML, but I am not going to cover that now. We are not covering that yet, but for this case, just follow what I'm doing here. So I want to add an ID to begin here. So I can put a let me just give this H1 an ID. ID equals I just want to give it an ID top. So this is the beginning of the test, right? So I can come here, then the break line, and put an anchor tag to scroll back to the beginning so that if I want to go to the beginning of this page, I'm not putting this yet. So the value is okay. The value should just mean top. So in the value here in the href here, instead of you referencing a page or referencing another URL, because it's actually I want to reference a particular ID, it's going to be start with an hash, then the name of the ID. The idea is top. So hash top. You understand what I did there? Let me scroll to the beginning again for you to see. So I had an ID to a particular position here. So I just added to the first text here. And I named it it's an ID and I named it top. And then at the end here, I put hash the name of that ID. Is that clear? So let's see the results of this. So let's refresh. So now we scroll down a bit, and then when we click on this, it should take us. You notice the page scroll back to the beginning. It scroll back to that where the ID is. You can go back again. When you click on this, it takes us back to the. So HTML you can actually use. So what I'm trying to explain, what I'm trying to let us know here is the link can be referencing a completely external page. It can reference a page within our website, another page that we created, a relative path, and it can even reference something within the same page. So I hope we understand what we covered today, and I hope you're actually following. I hope we are getting what we are able to actually understand what this was things, because at this point this way I'm actually going to stop the lecturing part, so actually lecturing the teaching part. So I want us to ask question. I want us to ask I want any question